When doing the market analysis, are there any guidelines or benchmarks to know if the market being analyzed is good or bad? For example, is 128 average days on market good, bad, or indifferent? Are many pre-foreclosures and REOs good, bad, or indifferent, and so on and so forth? How much is too much? Are there preferred targets? There are. The marketing analysis is something that our coaching students all go through so they can run an algorithm on their local market. They look at what parts or portions of their market they should be concentrating on. Most markets are pretty good size. Most people don't have enough marketing budget to canvas the entire platform or the entire geographical. And so we have to pick the ones that we shouldn't be marketing to. Even if we had enough budget to send everybody something, we shouldn't send everybody something because some of the areas are going to tell us, in fact, that we should not be sending them something. As an example, let's say, for instance, your median in your market's 225. I know that you have neighborhoods that are in the $1 million price range. I absolutely know that. Well, we want to stay away from those areas unless that's our market. Unless that's what we do, we want to stay away from those. The same thing is true in that same market at 225 or 220. I know there's markets that'll sell for 40 or 50. Probably want to stay away from those too. We want to be at their core competency, and we know that median is it. What median represents is the number of the price tag of the property that's right in the middle of all the properties that sold. The ones below it and the ones above it, but it's right there in the middle. It's not an average. I like median better than average. But when we look at a market, let's assume for a second we're looking at 10 zip codes. We want to determine which one of those zip codes I should be marketing to, or which 2 or 3 of those I should be marketing to. Well, one of the considerations that we have to take into consideration is how many investors are buying houses in that market or in that zip code with cash. Let's face it, we're going to sell our houses for cash. We want to know where the cash buyers want to buy. And this gives us two things. It gives us where the cash buyers want to buy, but it's also giving us where the seller has been predisposed to selling to us, like-minded people, and which I like too. So I want a high concentration of cash buyers. I also want at least 1,000 single-family units inside of a zip code. I don't want less than that. It's too small of a zip code. But if it's a huge zip code, like there's 20,000 units, well, that may be too large. And the reason I'm looking at how many units in a zip code is I want to know how much or how many of those houses, if I buy one, I can use from a marketing perspective to influence some of the other ones that'll be for sale. Let's face it, if I bought a house on a street, I know on that street, 2 houses are going to go up for sale within the next 6 months. I just know that. Well, if I did my job right, and I told everybody that I was buying a house and flipping it and I'm available, my money's here for you, then those 2 people will know about me. And the larger and larger and larger territory that you have, the harder it is for everybody to know you. So the smaller the better. However, it can be too small. So under 1,000 I don't like. I like REOs, houses that have been foreclosed upon that the bank owns. I like pre-foreclosures. I love the propaganda that allows me to have with the seller. Let's face it, if a seller is trying to sell their $100,000 house for $70,000, and I can buy the same house from a bank for $50,000, I'm just going to ask the seller, if you were me, would you buy your house for $70,000 or would you buy the same house down the street for $50,000? And I know they would say down the street for $50,000 because everybody's practical. If they don't say that, they're lying to themselves and they're lying to me. So I like the fact that there's some REOs. Now, if a street has a lot of REOs that are boarded up, I'm not going to buy on that street. But that doesn't mean I don't like the REOs. I'm just not going to buy on the street because I don't want those lenders to dump the property values and kill me on my value if I own a property. So there's things that we want to consider. Days on market, we want to consider that too. We want to consider the inventory of the median value. We want to see the equity-based positions. We want to see how many people have a house that's in the top third, middle third, and the bottom third of median with an equity position. We want to look at all those, and there's some more. There's other numbers that we look into. We want to have the best chance of being successful. So we do a little bit of homework, and it takes us 6 to 8 hours to do this algorithm, but it's well worth it.